therapies failed and flooded New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, Alexander Wheeler scooped up her infant twins, Amari and Jamari,
I put one twin in the back of me, one in the front.
and waded her way from uptown to the I-10 overpass.
It was elderly people dying in front of us. It was like being in a third world country on United States soil.
Then, seeking refuge at the convention center, she witnessed some of the worst of humanity.
The officers that were standing by had guns pointed on us. At this point, we're terrified because we don't know if we're going to be shot or what's going to happen.
And at that very moment, Alexandra Wheeler says she saw the very best of humanity. 3-star Army Lieutenant General Russell Honore.
And as she walked toward us, we made eye contact. You know, if you're walking in New York, you never make eye contact.
That's right.
But in the middle of Katrina, you make eye contact.
Yeah.
And I looked at this lady in her face with these twins and said, okay, wait a minute, what do you got here?
Honore got the young mom and her twins to a boat docked by the New Orleans Riverwalk.
We got onto the ship. We were medically treated by the military, the U.S. Coast Guards, and the general. They got us our first baths. We had our first meal. We were checked out. And then after we were checked out, he physically checked upon us himself to be sure that we were okay mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Then we used my helicopter, called it in, and they evacuated them to LSU to get treated. They ended up in Texas.
Were you ever overcome by emotion doing things like that?
No, you get past that.
Yeah.
You know, reporters used to ask me, what do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I'm dealing with the facts here. I know we don't have time to be worried about the feeling. We got to worry about other people's feeling.
Right.
And how we make them feel that they're human.
Honore credits CNN's original coverage of Wheeler and her twins' emotional story for sending a clear and critical signal that after almost a week of mind-numbing failures and unmitigated suffering, the federal government was finally in charge.
Have the guys put it on the ground and send these trucks back for another load.
Yes, sir.
Make that happen now.
Yes, sir.
It changed the narrative that the is here.
Yeah.
The big dog is going to run.
And the big dog running things after Katrina
I'd like to take my vehicle. Can you escort me down here?
was a native of Point Coupee Parish, Louisiana.
President Bush said, let me talk to that funny talking guy from Louisiana. You know, he always had a little jokes about it.
Yeah.
He said, what do you think, General? I said, sir, I can work for you through FEMA, for the governor, doing life-saving things.
Honore became a folk hero for his fiery side, but it also made a huge real-world impact.
Don't get stuck on stupid.
I get a call, my aide did, from the White House saying, hey, the boss want to know, are there snipers in New Orleans? Because if there are, he will impose the Insurrection Act and waive the posse comitatus, and we're going to send federal troops in tonight.
So Bush really was considering using the insurrection.
Yeah, when he heard about snipers.
New Orleans police chief at the time, Eddie Compass, had helped spread the false sniper rumor.
The sniper started shooting at my SWAT team in a fire truck. Then they started shooting at me in a helicopter.
It was Honore who stopped it in its tracks.
So I went to see Eddie, Chief Compass. I said, Chief, how did we get to this scenario that you use the word sniper? He said, well, General, they were shooting at us. I said, well, that doesn't mean they were snipers. That's a total different scenario.
The late Governor Kathleen Blanco stirred up fears of looting.
Looting and other lawlessness will not be tolerated. These troops know how to shoot and kill, and they are more than willing to do so if necessary, and I expect they will.
And when I heard that, my heart dropped out of my chest. So I called the governor. I said, Governor, you don't want to tell your troops to shoot your own people. We don't do that in America.
Honore had to ease those fears even among his own troops.
Weapons down! Weapons down, damn it!
Word of Honore's heroism quickly made its own way around the world. That fame made Honore a media darling, a gun control advocate, and a leading environmentalist. And that made him a controversial political figure.
I have asked retired Lieutenant General Russell Honore to lead an immediate review of security infrastructure, interagency processes, and command and control.
Republicans complained his U.S. Capitol security review after the January 6, 2021 insurrection was too partisan, and Honore regularly criticizes President Trump on social media. But Alexander Wheeler and her boys don't care about politics.
Words cannot describe, I cannot put into words what we owe the general. We owe him for the rest of our lives. Like, this man went above and beyond where other people weren't. He did.
Matter of fact, we weren't too far from here.
12 years after Katrina, Wheeler and her boys were living in Houston and narrowly escaped more flooding in Hurricane Harvey. CNN reunited them for the first time with the general, who, although retired, was in Texas for the storm, helping with another major disaster response effort.
It was breathtaking to see him again, to see the guy that actually saved us from Sodom and Gomorrah.
That 2017 meeting inspired Amari to enlist in the Marines. He spoke to us from his deployment in Okinawa, Japan.
It made us appreciate more what we did and have more of a understanding of how precious life is, and how you need to do as much as possible in that life that you have.
Jamari lives in McDonough, Georgia, not far from where he and Amari graduated high school last year. He begins his own military service this October.
I'm lucky to be here. I'm gonna do the best I can to make every situation I go through and everything I go through in my life and make it the best possibly I can.
And they don't want anyone to forget, it was Honore who made it all possible.
He was our superhero, and still is to this day.
David Hammer, WWL, Louisiana.